We're joined now by Ridwan Kamil, the Governor of West Java Province. Remind us again of the area that you are essentially in charge of.
West Java is what we call it the 20% of Indonesia. The size is so big, it's twice the size of Australia population. I'm managing 50 million people into 27 cities. So every day I have to make sure this 50 million have a good access to education, healthcare, connectivity. We are also number one in investment destinations every year because our infrastructure is relatively much better comparatively to other provinces. From 100% industry in Indonesia, 60% alone located in my province. Economic growth is quite strong. We grow 5.1%. Economy is good, but the challenge for us is how I can help the poor side of my society. That's why inclusive economy also part of my priorities.
I understand you're looking at some large infrastructure projects. Can you just tell us what some of your priority areas are?
Yes. We need at least 60 billion US dollar infrastructure. It's so big. If we use only our annual budgets, maybe it takes 20 years to achieve this kind of needs. Therefore, we look for PPP model, public-private partnership. We look for municipal bond kind of concept also to finance our projects. We find any banks that can loan to the institution, government like us. So number one, I have 5 strategy. Number one is infrastructure economy. So we need to build more toll roads. Per toll road, I think it's like 3 billion US dollar, for example. We need to build more railways. Next year, we will finish high-speed train connecting Jakarta to Bandung. We need to build more 2 airports, for example. Second strategy is a green and sustainable economy. We need to build, need investor to build waste to energy. We are building now, starting facilities to transform plastic into green fuel to make sure Indonesia, at least West Java, no longer as one of the biggest polluter of plastic to oceans. We are building wind turbine technology with Masdar, for example, company from Abu Dhabi. We are building solar farm floating on the water. The third one, inclusive economy. We are focusing on the fintech to make sure accessibility of capital can access the poor side of society, the remote side of society using this inclusive concept. The fourth one is digital economy. In the last 12 months, we changed the society and economy so big using digital. And last one, given our beautiful landscape, I'm also focusing on the tourism economy. 80% of incoming investors mostly coming from East Asian countries, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, China, less from Australia. So I think Australia need to see our bright future because if everything okay, politically conducive, economy we can keep 5% every year, we could be the 4th biggest economy in the next 20 to 25 years. So who benefit and become the partner? I'm hoping more from Australian side. So the reason I come because Victorian governor came to West Java, Lord Mayor of Melbourne also came to Bandung. So I think we would like to see more enterprises, businesses from at least Victoria region coming to West Java. You have to understand we have a blast of democracy, like Western democracy. So people like me can be elected for 5 and up to 10 years. So it means we will have a stability in political and democracy. So we are hoping Australia need to understand more that West Java or Indonesia is beyond Bali. So I'm hoping West Java could be the doors, the home of future Australian investments. Because in the next 20 years, Indonesia is the only country that have 70% of its population is a productive age. That's why human capital development is important. That's why university in Australia come to Indonesia. The government now relaxed the policy. You can open university now in Indonesia. So, and Monash University taking this policy seriously. I think next year they open the Monash University in Jakarta. Many East Asians is knocking my door every week, literally, but less from Australia.
But Ridwan, if we can look back though, the PPP model has been a difficult one for Australian companies to take up in Indonesia. And there are a range of issues around that. There's concerns about the return on investment, around governance, around the regulatory delays that they may find themselves in. What kind of guarantees can you give that the path will be a bit smoother perhaps?
In Indonesian standard, if you come to PPP directly, it takes time, of course, to have a bidding process and due diligence. But if you partner directly with the local company that owned by government, actually you don't need a bidding. So the way I do it now is PPP is I ask the state-owned company to start the projects and partners with any international investor. By having this policy of asking the state-owned company as a project leader, then you don't need this 6 month or 1 year bidding process because it's just a partner B2B kind of model. So I'm using the second door. If you want to have a quick project in West Java, just come to me. I will give you this option of partnering with state-owned company, and you can do your own standard of international, like the profitability percentage and all these Australian standards should be easily implemented in West Java.
Why bother making an effort with Australian companies though, or Western companies, if you do have so many others knocking on your door? And we know that other money is going into Indonesia.
I think also I need to balance the geopolitical dimensions of my economy. As I said, 80% coming from our Asia, but less from Australia. And when I see some of Australian people really have a little understanding about its biggest neighbor, for example, because as I said, when we become the fourth largest economy, I think Australia should be the first partner to Indonesia. And to achieve that vision, I need to open communication more instead of inviting to come to West Java also. I have to come like this and have some discussion that Indonesia now is a very fruitful region for engaging in economy.
Well, we'd love to keep track of your progress on that.
And not to forget, we're opening the first cafe of West Java, Jabarano it's called. 100% of West Java coffee. It's a gesture for me to say that at least I have some presence also in Australian economy.
That's a good point. You're trying to increase people-to-people relationships, and what better way to do that than through a coffee shop in Melbourne, coffee diplomacy. Well, congratulations on that front, and thank you very much for your time today.
Okay, thank you very much. See you in West Java.